Sunday Night Football. Cameras everywhere. Millions watching. Terrell Owens jogs onto the field, opens his mouth to call a play, and his mouthguard sparkles like a chandelier. The broadcast zooms in, real diamonds, in his mouth, during a football game. The commentators are speechless. Fans at home are Googling, how much does T.O.'s mouthguard sell for? Meanwhile, NFL executives are having a meltdown in a boardroom somewhere in New York. Can he do that? Is that allowed? The answer? Not anymore. Every band accessory has a story. And that story usually involves a player who looked at the rulebook, found what wasn't explicitly forbidden, and said, bet. So today, we're breaking down every band accessory in NFL history in the absolutely ridiculous stories of how they got kicked out of football. And we're starting with a football player who looked at a safety device and thought, cool, but what if it could double as a down payment on a house? Terrell Owens, professional wide receiver and full-time attention vacuum, decided his standard mouthguard wasn't getting enough screen time. So T.O. showed up to a game wearing a mouthguard encrusted with actual diamonds. Not cubic zirconia, not fake crystals from Claire's, real diamonds. The kind of sparkle that makes jewelers weep. Reportedly worth more money than most people's cars. Every time he opened his mouth, it looked like someone had installed a disco ball in his face. Camera crews couldn't resist. Commentators couldn't stop talking about it. T.O. loved every second of the attention. The NFL, however, was not amused. League executives watched the footage and immediately started having nightmares about worst-case scenarios. Scenario 1. T.O. gets hit, swallows a mouthguard, and now we're dealing with a medical emergency involving thousands of dollars worth of diamonds traveling through an intestinal tract. Do we have insurance for this? Does anyone have insurance for this? Scenario 2. The mouthguard shatters on impact. Diamond fragments scatter across the field like the world's most expensive glitter bomb. Do we stop the game? Do we vacuum the field? Do we call a jeweler? What's the protocol here? Scenario 3. This becomes a trend. Every wide receiver shows up next week with platinum mouthguards, gold teeth, and jewelry that costs more than the median household income in the United States. Where does it end? Are we running a football league here or a jewelry store with tackling? The NFL banned it faster than you can say unnecessary roughness. The new rule was crystal clear. See what we did there? Mouthguards must be standard equipment. No diamonds, no gold, no precious metals. No turning your mouth into a Tiffany's display case. T.O. was furious. He claimed it was his personal expression, his brand, his God-given right to have diamonds in his mouth while catching touchdowns. The NFL responded with, the brand is catching footballs and doing sit-ups in driveways, not looking like a rapper's dental work exploded. Owens had to switch back to a boring, diamond-free mouthguard. The dream of blinged-out mouth protection died before it could sparkle its way into mainstream acceptance. But if diamonds in your mouth sound flashy, just wait till you see what happens when players start dressing like futuristic assassins. The dark visor era was peak intimidation. Players would stroll onto the field looking like cyborg assassins. Like RoboCop decided to play cornerback, like they just stepped out of a sci-fi movie where the villain wears all black and nobody knows what his real face looks like. You couldn't see their eyes. You couldn't read their emotions. You couldn't tell if they were locked in or thinking about what to eat after the game. And for years, the NFL didn't bat an eye. Dark visors? Cool. Makes you look scary? Even better. But then trainers and medical staff started having a massive problem. Here's the thing about concussion protocols. Doctors kind of need to see your eyes. It's literally step 1. Check for pupil dilation. Check for tracking. See if the lights are on and somebody's home. But they can't do any of that when the visor is darker than a villain's shades in an action movie. In 1998, a player got absolutely destroyed by a hit. Trainers rushed over and needed to check his eyes. Except they couldn't see anything through the black visor. They fumbled around trying to rip off his helmet while he was lying there, possibly concussed, wasting precious seconds, and potentially making a neck injury worse. The NFL watched this happen over and over and said, okay, we're done playing dress-up. New rule dropped. Visors must be clear or lightly tinted. Want a dark one? You need a doctor's note for a real medical condition. Not, I think it looks sick. Players complained about losing their cool factor. The NFL said, we literally need to see if your brain is damaged. Non-negotiable. RIP dark visors. You looked awesome, but turned medical emergencies into a guessing game. But if you think medical problems are bad, the next accessory accidentally turned players into human pretzels. The late 70s and early 80s were the wild west of helmet design. Players could basically show up wearing whatever cage they wanted on their face. 1 bar for the brave and stupid, 2 bars for the slightly less stupid, full bird cages for the guys who valued their teeth. And then some defensive linemen looked at their standard face mask and thought, you know what this needs? More bars. Like, way more bars. Let's turn this into a maximum security prison for my face. Custom welding jobs started popping up. Face masks with so many bars they looked like someone had trapped a human face inside a shopping cart. The logic was simple. More metal equals more protection, equals I can headbutt people without consequences. But nobody thought about the side effects. When pileups happened, these custom face masks could get tangled with other players' equipment, like the world's most violent game of cat's cradle. Hands would get caught between bars. Jerseys would snag on the extra metal. 2 face masks would lock together like angry Transformers trying to merge into one super robot. But here's where it got truly ridiculous. Offensive linemen discovered these prison cell face masks made excellent handles. You'd try to rush the passer and suddenly the guy blocking you had this entire hand jammed through your face mask. Grabbing bars, pulling your head sideways like you were a pit bull on a leash that just spotted a squirrel. Your neck would twist. Your spine would file a formal complaint. Your chiropractor would start sending you reminder texts. The NFL watched this chaos unfold for a few seasons and finally said, okay, we need to standardize this before someone's head gets unscrewed like a bottle cap. Some players cried about losing their unique look, but the league said, your unique look is causing neck injuries. We're good. Fair point, honestly. Now, every face mask has to meet specific safety standards. Try saying that 3 times fast. Can't be too open. Your face becomes a punching bag. Can't be too closed. You can't breathe or see. Has to hit that sweet spot of protection without turning into a climbing structure for opposing players. After that fiasco, the NFL thought it finally had players under control. Then someone looked at their hands and said, what if we cheated just a little bit? Before we continue, give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. In 2013, Seahawks cornerback Brandon Browner showed up with regular gloves that weren't regular at all. He'd put some kind of sticky substance on them, like coating your hands in tree sap before playing football. Why? Better grip for interceptions and holding on to receivers. Smart? Maybe. Legal? Hell no. The NFL has always been adding grip enhancements to your equipment. You get what comes out of the box. That's it. Browner got caught. He got fined. He got lectured about cheating. But here's the secret. Tons of players were doing it. Receivers, defensive backs, everyone. It was football's worst kept secret. The NFL cracked down hard and started randomly checking gloves. They tested for substances and made examples out of anyone who got busted. Now gloves are heavily regulated. Use them straight from the factory or you're getting suspended. But if you think sticky gloves are cheating, the next banned accessory was about sending messages. And those messages got so out of control that the league had to shut down the entire operation. Early 2000s. Eye black was supposed to be simple. 2 strips of black grease under your eyes. Reduces sun glare. Functional. Boring. Gets the job done. But players, being players, couldn't leave well enough alone. Someone decided, what if we wrote stuff in our eye black? And that innocent question opened up Pandora's box. Bible verses started showing up. Then nicknames. Then shoutouts to dead relatives. Then messages to opponents. Then entire philosophical manifestos written in grease paint like football players were suddenly Greek philosophers with a character limit. Tim Tebow made it mainstream. We all remember how he would write John 3:16 under his eyes. Camera crews would zoom in. Commentators would mention it. It became his whole brand. The religious quarterback spreading the gospel through eye black. Other players saw the attention and jumped in. Some wrote inspirational messages. Some wrote trash talk. Some wrote things that probably shouldn't have been broadcast on family-friendly television. The NFL watched this trend spiral and realized this had created a bunch of monsters. What happens when someone writes something offensive? What happens when eye black stops being about glare reduction and becomes a personal billboard? What happens when we have to start censoring faces? In 2010, they killed it. All of it. They banned every variation. Eye black must be solid black. No words, no symbols, no numbers, no secret codes, no artistic expression. Just 2 boring strips of glare-reducing grease doing their job without editorializing it. Players rioted. They called it censorship, called it taking away their voice. even called it un-American. The NFL responded with, "We don't care what nickname you prefer or what message you want to send. Your face is not a bumper sticker." Now, if you think these accessories gave players advantages, you need to see the actual superpowers that made players unstoppable without any equipment tricks. I'm talking about weird biological talents so specific and so effective that they become legendary without breaking a single rule. Check out every NFL player with the weirdest strengths you never noticed, and see abilities that no accessory could ever give you.